Hello everyone and welcome. Now, first of all, before we begin, please let me know if you can hear me loud and clear because we want to get off on a good start. So welcome everyone. So far I can see quite a lot of you have joined in. This is fantastic. Now, before I give some shout outs, I want to talk about what will be, the live workshop today. This is going to be about global defaults. So the technique I'll be showing you on how to design websites in the new way is going to be pretty much standard going forward, in my opinion, because it just makes the whole process of designing websites very, very straightforward, very, very easy. And this is going to be done through global defaults, the global defaults feature. So even if you have an existing website that you've already designed, you can also apply the techniques that I'll be showing you today. So I'm really excited about this because this manages your entire website. So you make your settings once, and then these settings translate across the whole website. So it's really, really exciting, and I can't wait to show you how to create this. So if you can hear me loud and clear, please let me know in the comments box below before we begin. Right, so I can hear, okay, voice sync is out. I don't think there's anything I can do about this because I'm using Crowdcast. So I guess we just have to probably continue with this until I find out how to fix this. All right, so I'd like to welcome G, Andrew, Sammy. We also have Hongju Lee from Seoul. Jordi from Spain, good to see you. Barcelona, I was there last year as well. That's really awesome. Alias from Egypt. Oh, wow. I think this is the first time we've had someone from Egypt. That's awesome. We also have Arbin from Kosovo. Now, please do forgive me if I mispronounce these names. I'm just excited to have all you guys here on this live stream. Agante from Germany. Good to see you too. We also have Anissa from New York. Pauline from South Africa. Wow, that's awesome. We also have Douglas from Scotland. W.R. Mercier from Florida, USA. Awesome, awesome. Right, we also have, let's have a look. Feroz, good to see you as well from Texas. Rito from Switzerland. Who else do we have? We also have Sammy here saying loud and clear. Awesome. Right. If I missed anyone, well, Monique, good to see you as well. Good to see you, Monique. Let's have a look. Just want to make sure I don't miss anyone. We also have Peder from Sweden. I hope I pronounced that well. And Andrew from Lanark. Awesome. Excellent. Okay, so as I mentioned in the beginning, we are going to take a look at global defaults. Now, when it comes to designing websites before, we used to go into our theme editor, our theme settings to go and set up our heading text and our font text. And, in my opinion, this is like, this way of designing things is very, very dated. And you will see today that the workflow that I'll be showing you is going to be totally different. In fact, if you haven't tried this out, this is going to change the way you design websites from today. So can't wait to show you that. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to switch over to my desktop so I can show you. Right, I'm going to share my screen here. All right, great. So here I just pretty much have a Divi installed website. Nothing much happening here. And as I mentioned, if you wanted to customize your fonts right from the get-go, you would come over here to Appearance, and then you would click on Customize. So I'm sure you're all familiar with this. So this is where you would come and click here on General Settings. You'd come to Typography, and this is where you would set your body text size. Okay. Now, the disadvantages of this is even if you set it here, it's not, you can't really see what it's going to look like. And also over here on the heading text, you just set it up once and that's pretty much it. And then over here, when it comes to the header font and the body font, notice here, when I click here on this drop down, it gives me all these fonts, right? But The problem with this is I have no idea what Amico looks like. I don't even have an idea of Amiri looks like. So it's just a list of fonts, but I can't really tell what sort of fonts these are, what they look like, and so on. So in my opinion, this is why I say this was dated. And the same applies as well to the body text. So if I was to come over here to body text, same thing. It only shows me a list of all the fonts, and that's pretty much it. Now, over here on the body color, we only have a few options here to set our default fonts. So as you can see here, the body color here is the link color is this color, and the body text color is that. So ideally, we want to have a system that is more like a style guide in graphic design. Now, for those of you who have done design, are you familiar with the style guide? If so, please let me know in the comments box by saying yes. Do you know what a style guide is? Please let me know by saying yes. If there's quite a few people that know what a style guide is, then I'll have to go in and explain a bit more. Okay, awesome. So I can see here quite a lot of you are saying yes, yes, yes. Anissa, Agante, awesome, fantastic. So what we're trying to do today with Divi, and in my opinion, this has never been done before with any page builder. We are going to build a style guide that is going to control our whole website. So I'm just going to get rid of this here. Now let's head over here and create a page. So I'm going to come over here, click on add new. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call this page style guide. Okay, because this is the page that's going to control everything on our website. And by the way, if you haven't bought Divi yet, I've got a link. Divi has a 20% summer sale. So if you purchase Divi now, you'll get a 20% off. Plus, I have some bonuses. If you buy it using my link, you'll also get access to my Divi Blueprint 3 courses and the Photoshop for Web Designers course. All right, so let's call this page Style Guide. Okay, I'm going to click here on Use Divi Builder. Right. So here I'm just going to click on. No, we don't need to reload the site. Okay, we're going to build this from scratch. Right. So over here, I'm just going to add some basic elements that we normally find on a website. So these basic elements are pretty much headings, paragraph text, buttons, blurbs, images. So we want to style these main items so that as we start building our website, everything will have a consistent style throughout our whole website. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to click here on single column. So on this column here, I'm just going to add a basic paragraph text. And by the way, if you have any questions, please drop your questions in the comments box below, and I'll keep an eye on this and respond to your answers. Yes, Agante says another word for style guide is brand sheet. Yes, that's absolutely right. Okay, so I've just entered here a paragraph of text. So as you can see, this text here is the default text that comes with Divi when you install a brand new Divi. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that as it is, as our paragraph text. I'm going to save that. I'm going to also add, this time I'm going to add a single column, and I'm going to add a button because, of course, buttons are used throughout our websites a lot. So if we style a button the first time, it's going to have our buttons look consistent throughout our whole website. So this is my process of designing the style guide. Okay, so I'm going to save this button. And then I'm also going to come in and add a blurb because we also use blurbs. In fact, to save space, I might as well just come in here and divide this into 3. So here I can add a blurb. Okay, so this is just standard how it looks like. I'm going to save that, and then I'm also going to add an image like that. Okay, so now we have a button, we have a blurb, we also have an image. Okay, right. So I'm just going to save this for now. I'm just thinking, what else can we have here? Okay, we also need some headings. So let me add another text module here. So this is going to be our main heading. So I'm just going to say here main heading. Okay, so for our main heading, I'm just going to highlight this and set this to heading 1. Okay, I'm going to save that. And then we may also want to have another set of headings here. So I'm going to add text module like that. And then this one here is going to be my second heading. Okay, so I'm just going to say heading 2. Like that. And then I'm going to highlight it and click on this drop down and set this to heading 2 and then save. Okay, so this process that I'm doing here is if you're building your website from scratch. However, you can also still do this if you've already built your website. So right now, I've just set some default items here. I've got some paragraph text. I've got some heading text, heading 2. I've got a button. I've also got a blurb and also an image. So now we want to apply some styles to this so that when we start designing our website, everything is preset, just like how a style guide works. Okay, so I'm going to start here with my paragraph text. So I'm going to click here on this gear icon. Now, the new feature here, which is the global defaults feature, you'll find it when you see this icon here, this globe icon. I hope everyone can see it on this live stream. So when I click here on this globe icon, notice what happens. It flips over, and then I can go in and set my settings, which are going to apply to the whole website, hence the word global settings. So I'm going to come over here to design. So just like as we did before, we just come over here to design, and then we can now go into our text and start styling it. So here on the font, let's choose a font. I really like using Poppins, so I'm going to go ahead and choose Poppins for my normal font. And then I can come over here to my text size. Let's set this to, let's say, 16. So that's going to be my body text size. And then over here, I'm going to set my line height. I'm just going to increase that a little bit to about 1.8. Okay, so that's looking great. So pretty much I'm happy with that. If I need to change the color as well, I can come in here and change my color. So every time I'm going to add a paragraph or some text on my website, this is going to be the color that's going to be applied to all my paragraph text. Now that is really, really cool. So over here, I'm going to save. And then it says here, you've made changes to the text module, default settings. This will affect all text modules across your entire website. Do you wish to proceed? I'm going to say yes. So now, if there's any page on my website that had a paragraph text, which was set to something else, that has automatically changed now to this setting. Okay. All right. So moving on, any questions so far before I move on and continue designing this? Okay, I don't see any questions. Oh, I just noticed that we also have Ahmed from Milton Keynes, UK. Good to see you, Ahmed. All right, so moving on. Okay, Andrew says, sounds good. Fantastic. I'm glad we're all on the same page. Now, moving on, let's start working on our main headers now. So I'm going to save this. In fact, I'm just going to drag this to the top so that it just looks neat. Okay. But of course, it doesn't have to be in this order. Now, let's go into our headings. So I'm going to click here on this gear icon, go into my settings, click on design. Now, I'm going to click here on this globe item. So I'm going to click it, and then it's going to flip around, click here on design. And now on my heading text, this is heading 1. So I'm going to go ahead and style that. So let's say for all my headings, I want to make it all caps. And I'm also going to choose my font here, change it to Poppins. And then I'm going to change this from regular to bold. Right. Now, in regards to the actual color, I'm going to go with this color right here. And I'm pretty much happy with that. So I'm going to save this. And again, it's going to ask me if I need to save this. I'm going to go ahead and save that and then save one more time. Now over here, let's do the heading 2. So I'm going to come over here, click on this globe item, design, heading text, heading 2. And I'm also going to change this to Poppins. And this time I won't make it all caps, but I'll just change my color here. Let me see what I can go with. Right, I think I'll go with this. Okay, is my heading color. And the size, I'm going to leave the size as it is. Save this, save one more time. Okay, so now I have my main heading, heading 2. I also have my body text. Now let's move on to the button because I want my buttons to be all consistent as I design my website. So I'm going to click here on module settings. So here on the button text, we might as well just leave it as click here because we might want to change it to something else later on as we design our websites. And also over here on the link, you want to make sure that you just leave this as a blank link. Right, so now I'm going to click on edit global button defaults, click on design, and then straight away, I'm going to come over here to button. So this is where now you want to activate use custom styles for button in order for us to customize this button. Okay, so let's start by adding our colors. So in fact, our main color here is going to be, let's go with this one here. Now the button background color, I'm going to go with this dark color. And for the border width, I'm just going to get rid of the border width completely. And then I think I'm going to change my font as well, choose Poppins. And I think the size is okay. Now we may want to add a new icon, but to be honest, I'm pretty much happy with the way the button looks. So I'm going to go ahead and save changes. Right. Okay, so let's move on to the next item. Now this time we're going to take a look at the blurbs. We want our blurbs to be a specific design as we enter our blurbs onto our website. Okay, so I'm going to click here on module settings. So the first thing I'm going to do is to go in and customize all this and just make sure that everything is looking okay. So I'm going to come over here to, in fact, I need to click here on this globe item. Okay, so I'm going to start with a background here. So I'm going to click here on background. So I want my blurbs to have a background color. So the color I'm going to go with is, let me go with this. Okay, so that it's just a new design of our blurb. Okay, so I've got my background color. I'm going to come over here to design, and then I'm going to click on image and icon. So here we can also change our icons if we need to. In fact, okay, so I've got my background color. I just wanted to double check on that. All right, so here on the design, I'm going to come over here to spacing because I need to give some spacing to my blurb here. So I'm going to give a padding of, let's say, 20. Okay. So I'm just adding 20 here as well. Okay, so there we go. So I have 20 all around. Now, if I need to, I could actually add a border, but you know what? I'm not going to add a border. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm also going to add, in fact, let's go to border. I want to add some rounded corners. So for my rounded corners, I'm going to add, let's add 5 for our rounded corners. So our rounded corners are going to go throughout all the sides. So it's 5 pixels. So it's just smooth on the sides there. All right, so moving on, this text here needs to be changed as well because we used pop-ins here for our paragraph text. So we want to keep that consistent. So I'm going to click here on this brush tool, and this is going to take me directly to my text. So I'm going to click here, change it to pop-ins, and then I'm going to align everything to the center. I'm also going to come over here to, in fact, I need to change my color, make it nice and dark. And then over here on my blurb text, I'm going to click it, and I'm also going to align this to the center, make it all caps. And let me see if yes, I'm going to change the color. And I'm also going to change the font weight to bold and reduce the size a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go with 17. So every time I'm going to add a blurb, this is what it's going to look like. All right, so pretty much I've added all this. Now, there's also one cool thing that you can do here. You can also add all these other features. Like, for example, you can add animations, you can add transform, you can add box shadows, you can have hover effects. So in this example, I'm just going to keep everything simple, but just bear in mind that we can make all these changes. So, okay, so before I continue, any questions so far? Khalid says, hi, Mac. Hi, Khalid. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, so I'm just going to save this for now. I'm going to take a look at your questions. Ahmed says, can you change your global setting? Absolutely, yes. So let's say you decide, in fact, let me bring my screen over here. Right. Andrew says no questions so far. That's good. That's good. So hopefully, if I don't see a lot of questions, I'm going to see that as a good sign because we're all on the same page. Fantastic. Okay. The question here is, can you change your global setting? Absolutely. So let's say you've designed your website, it's complete, you're happy with it. And then you decide, you know what, I'm going to change the whole branding of my website. I'm going to change my fonts. I'm going to change all my text. I'm going to change all my colors. Absolutely. You can just go back in, change it slightly, and that change gets applied to the whole website. And this is the really, really cool thing about Divi. And you know what? For those of you that have tried other page builders, I'm sure this feature here, all the other page builders don't really actually have this feature. This is a fantastic feature. And with the future updates to the header and footer and also the theme builder, once all that comes together, you will see a fantastic way of building websites with Divi. Okay, so I'm just waiting for any more questions. Any more questions before we move on? Right. Phil says, are you using Shopify for online shops? The answer to that is no, I don't use Shopify for that. I use WooCommerce. I prefer using WooCommerce because with that, I have full control of what is happening on my website. Whereas the Shopify, everything is hosted on the Shopify platform. So I use WooCommerce. Amir says, learning too many things from you, Mac. Awesome. I'm glad you're learning quite a lot of things here. So really appreciate it. All right, so let's continue. It looks like we don't have any more questions. Oh, wait. Monique says, if you make another page now, how do you apply those settings? That's a great question because if I create a brand new page now, everything that I'm going to add on that page will take on these settings that I'm setting up here. So most of my work is going to be done on this style guide. Let's call this a style guide, okay? Most of my work is going to be done here. Now, every time I create a brand new page and I add a header, this is the header that's going to be applied to that page. Same thing with the button, same thing with the blurbs. As soon as I add a brand new blurb, it's going to take on this design. In fact, that's the next step that I'm going to show you how that actually applies, okay? Okay, fantastic. So let me share my screen again. All right, so I think we're done with our blurb settings here. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now let's work on our final thing here, which is the image. I'm going to click here on my image module. Again, I'm going to go global, design. And all I'm going to do here on my images is to add a border, okay? I mean, to add rounded corners. And if you recall, I added 5 here. So I'm just going to add 5 for my image here. Now, if you want to go in and add different styles, filters, you can always come over here, make your images saturated. You can make them, add some colors and so on. And if you want to add hover effects, you can also go in and add some hover effects. But you know what? For the sake of this live workshop, I'm just going to keep everything basic, as basic as possible so that you can understand what the process looks like. All right, so I'm going to click on save. I'm going to save one more time. And now we are pretty much done with our basic settings. Now, you may be thinking, okay, are these global settings applying just to our modules only? The answer to that is absolutely not. We can also apply these settings to our section settings, our rows as well. Now, let me show you quickly how you would do that. Now, for those of you that used to watch my website reviews, you would notice that I went on and on and on about the width of the row, that it's way too wide and sometimes it's just way too small. So in order for you to fix that, you can actually come over here to your row settings and give this a size. So I'm going to come over here to design, sizing. In fact, I need to click here on this global item. Okay, design, sizing. And then over here, we can start by maybe reducing our gutter width. And these are also going to be our global settings. So I've just changed that to 2. And then over here for our width, I'm going to set that to 70%. Oops. Okay. So I'm going to set my width to 70%. And then I'm going to save. So globally now, all my width is going to be set to 70%. I'm going to save this one more time. Now, there's also one setting that I always do every time I add new sections to my website, and that is to add padding to the top and the bottom. So we're going to do this globally as well. So I'm going to come over here to my section settings, click on this globe item, and then I'm going to come over here to design, sizing. Oh, in fact, it's spacing I need to go to. So I normally add about 100 padding to the top and the bottom, and then I'm going to save. So now every time I add a section to my website, it's going to have 100 both to the top and the bottom, as you can see here in this demo. Okay, and if I come over here, you'll notice that all that has changed. All my sections now have been changed. Now, with all this set, let's start creating pages on our website. All right, so I'm going to come over here and click on a new page. In fact, you know what? I need to make sure I publish this and make sure everything is saved. Otherwise, all our work won't be saved. Okay, so we've called this page Style Guide. I'm just going to open a new tab here so that you can see we can bounce back and forth between this, okay? So I'm just going to come back over here, open a new tab, and then create a brand new page. Right, so let's call this page New Page. So this is pretty much how you design your website as normal. You go in, you give your page a name, use Divi Builder, and then once you've set on Use Divi Builder, now we can start adding all our elements. So I'm going to build this from scratch, and let's start by adding, let's say, a single column. In fact, let me see if okay, we've got a question here, and the question is, can this be saved in the library for future use on other projects? Yes, you can save this to the library for and use the style guide for other projects as well. Yes, you can. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add 2 columns. So on the first column, I'm going to add an image. So I'm going to search for my image module and select it. And then I'm just going to click here and let me choose my image. Okay, I'm going to go into my image library. I'm going to go with this image right here. So I'm going to click upload an image. Now notice right away, my image has these rounded corners. Do you notice that? I haven't even touched anything. I've just added my image, and right away we had rounded corners. So hopefully you can see the rounded corners here on the image. Okay, now what else have we created? We also created some paragraph text. So let's come over here and add some text. In fact, I'm going to start with a heading here. So I'm going to say text module. And then over here, I'm just going to add my heading text. Let me use some lorem text. I prefer using lorem because I hate typing, you know. Right, so I'm just going to copy a bit of text here to use as my heading text. So I'm going to delete this, add my heading text, and then over here, I'm just going to highlight it and change this to heading 1. Notice what happens. I've just turned it to heading 1, and it has my color. It's all uppercase, and it has the right size. So as I'm building my website now, I can just continue doing this, and I don't even have to touch anything because everything has already been set. Now I'm going to add a paragraph. Oh, sorry, text module. Getting overexcited. All right, so here I'm going to add a text module, and notice it also has my font, it has my colors, it has everything. So I can just come over here, grab a bunch of text like that, and then I'm just going to come back over here and paste my text like that. Okay, so everything has my colors, it has my spacing, everything is all set from our style guide. Okay. So over here, let me just confirm this. This is our main heading that we set up initially. This is our paragraph text. So as you can see, as I'm adding items here, everything is being added. Now, I just want to show you quickly as well, one more time. Do you see this button here that we created earlier on as a global item? Notice what happens. I'm going to add a button now. So I'm going to click here on this plus button, add my button, and boom, my button has all my colors. It's pretty much all set and ready to go. All I have to do now is to give this button a title. So I'm going to say download now. But of course, the title could be anything, the title of the button, right? And then I just need to add my button link here, and that is done. So as I'm designing my website, look, even my section also has my 100 pixels here at the top and the bottom. So as I'm designing my website, everything is just in place. Right. So I want to go ahead and add one more item. Oh, in fact, we have, let's see, we have these blurbs that we designed earlier on. Let's add those blurbs now. So for those, I'm going to add a new section. So I'm going to click this plus button. This is going to be a regular section, and we're going to have 3 columns here. Okay. Now, notice this. As soon as I type in blurb, I'm going to add my blurb here, and it has all my designs. Look at that. All I have to do now is to go in and customize my text. So I can just change my title here. Again, I'm going to come to Lorem. Just copy some text from here for my title. Like that. And then over here, it's going to add some dummy text. Come over here, paste my dummy text in here. Like that. And then over here now, notice that we have space for an image. So this is where now we can either choose to have an image or an icon. So if I want to have an icon, I can just come over here and choose the icon that I need to add in here. So let's say this is going to be my icon. I can come over here to design, image and icon, and change my icon color. Okay. And then I can also change my icon size. And pretty much I'm happy with that. Let me see if this is better. Actually, I'll leave this. Yeah, I'm going to leave that as it is. Okay, so I've added all that. I'm going to save. Now, if I need to speed up the whole process now, I can just duplicate this twice like that. Drag this into position like that. And those are my blurbs. Notice how fast it was for me to just go in and just start adding all my my elements. Now you may ask, okay, what if I want to change this particular one in the middle here to make it stand out? How do I do that? Well, it's straightforward. Just because we've set everything as a global item, it doesn't mean that we can't go in and change it. So let me change this one here. I'm going to click here. And right now I can actually go in and make all these changes because notice I'm not in the global tab. So I can come over here, change the background color. So let's say I'm going to go with this really dark one. And on my design here, I'm going to change my font. And my font color is going to be, let's go with that. I'm also going to change my color here. And my icon as well. I'm going to change it to that. Okay, so notice, just like that, I was able to go in and change this middle one here. If I want to change it and make it even bigger, I can go in and make it slightly bigger. But it doesn't mean that next time I add a blurb, it's going to have this setting. Why? Because I haven't made these additions to my global settings. All right, so let me just prove to you that one more time. I'm going to come over here, click on add new row, 2 columns, and I'm going to add a blurb. Okay, let's add it one more time. Now notice it still has all my settings. And this time, let's say I want to add an image. I can just come over here, click here, add my image, click upload an image, and boom, my image is in right away. But consistently, I have this background, I have my rounded corners, my fonts, everything is all set. Now, if we were to do this every now and again, designing our websites before this feature was released, I mean, the amount of work that was needed to design this was just crazy, absolutely crazy. So now you can have consistent, I mean, look at these rows. They are consistent. Everything is laid out neatly. And every time I add a new item, if I decide, oh, I want to add a button here, I can just come over here, add my button, and notice that it has my color, right there in my button. So this is really, really, really cool. Right. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Yes, this will be re-recorded. For those of you that missed the first part of this, it will be re-recorded. No questions, no questions, no questions. That's awesome. Right. Right. There's a question here from Ian Jr., I think, saying, isn't there CSS for this? I mean, to be honest, you saw what I was doing in this example. Why would you need to type in CSS code and all of that? I mean, it's unnecessary. I mean, if you were trying to prove, to people that your coding and all of that, yes, it's good. And it's also good to know the CSS. But if you just want to build your websites, I mean, notice this. I haven't even done any CSS, no coding, no custom code. This was just using the Divi builder. So I wouldn't really bother with CSS to be honest. And as the page, in fact, let me just turn this to my main screen. Right, so let me just bring this forward here so I can read all the questions easier. So the thing with CSS is, yes, it's great to know how to use CSS. Well, if we are going back, let's say 2, 3, 5 years ago, yes, CSS was very, very important. But now these page builders have become so advanced that there's no really need to master CSS. But of course, there may be maybe specific things that you may want to go in and make changes to with CSS. But generally, I would say 95% of everything that you need to do, you can just do that in your page builder. And this applies to all the other page builders out there. There's no really need for CSS. To be honest, on my website, I hardly use CSS. I hardly use CSS because everything is just done in the builder itself. Okay, right. Pauline says, can you access the global defaults without recreating a style page first? Yes, you can. And that's what I'm going to be showing you in the next step, because right now, this example is for someone that's building a website from scratch. So now I'm going to show you how you would actually work on your website if you don't even have a style guide initially. Okay. Agante says, will the pre-made themes override the global styles? Right. I just heard, now just to be sure, Agante, are you asking about the pre-made themes, the ones that come by default with Divi? Are these the ones you're referring to? Okay, yes. Now, the thing is, the way these pre-made layouts were created, the last time I tried to apply these global settings to them, it didn't work. Mainly because I think the styles were actually hard-coded onto these pre-made layouts. So if you try to do it with the way I'm doing it now, it would not override. So you would need to go in and reset everything and then set your global items. I'm hoping that this is something that's going to be changed very soon, because that would make the whole process of using these pre-made layouts very, very easy. You would just go in, change the font across all the layouts, change the headings, change the colors, and so on. But at the moment, you're not able to do that. Right, let me see. Do we have any more questions? Yes, so first you load the pre-made theme and then you can start making the changes. And I'll show you how you would do that, because the technique is similar to someone who's already designed their own website. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well. Okay, let's have a look here. Any more questions? Have I missed anything? Rito says, what is with the responsive design? I'm not sure what you mean. Can you expand on that? Right, let's take a look here if we have any more questions. Okay, so no questions so far. So let's move on to the next part of our design, and that is making changes to an existing website. So I'm going to save this. In fact, I'm going to switch over here to my website. All right, so let's say you have some pages on your website. In fact, hopefully I have some pages here. I'm going to go into my dashboard, save and exit. Right, so over here, I'm going to click on all pages. Now notice that I have all these pages that I normally use for my tutorials. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open any of these pages, and what you'll notice is if all worked well, these pages will have taken on the designs or the style guide that we created earlier on. So I'm just going to open this in a new tab and take a look at it. Okay, now this one here, I think I hard-coded everything in as well. Let me find another example. Okay, so I'm just going to click on an Enable Visual Builder here. Right, so for this example, let's say you've already created a website and this is how it looks like. How would you change all these settings to make your website look uniform? So to do that, all you have to do is to choose a particular item that you want to make a change to. So in this case, let's say this was your paragraph text, but you want to change this paragraph text and make it similar across the whole website. So how you would do that is you click here on this gear icon, and then you can click on this item here, design, text, and then you can change your text over here. So let's say, whoa, that's strange. Right, so I would have to come in here and make my changes this way. So I'm going to click here on text. Let's change the color. Okay, let's go with this color here for our text. For the size, I'm just going to increase it a little bit here. But this time, I'm just going to use pixels. Let's say 16 pixels. Okay. Align to the left. And my font here, let me change it to something different. I'm going to choose Open Sans. And then I'm also going to add a line height. So here, okay, so let's go with 1.9. So this is the change that you're actually making to your current website. So just assume that this is your current website. So I'm going to leave this at 13.7. Okay. Right, so with that all set now, what I could actually do is to click on these three little dots. And then notice that we have this option here which says make styles default. Okay, so this is where you want to click, and then it will give you a notice here which says this will affect all text modules across your entire website. Do you want to proceed? And then if I say yes, this now is going to be applied to my whole entire website. Okay. Now, I'm just going to come over here to the page that we're working on. I forgot the name of the page now. Anyway, let me save this and just make sure. Right. Now, notice what happened. This text here, our body text now has changed because, let me close this, because we've changed this to apply to the whole entire website. So you can see now where I had this text, it's all changed. This is not the font that we had because over here we had pop-ins. Now let me change this so that you can change the style so you can see it clearly. Let me change this one more time. So here, instead of using Open Sans, I'm going to use Georgia. Okay, so that's the font I'm going to go with. I'm going to increase the size a little bit. I'm going to go with, let's say, yeah, I'm going to go with 15.7. So as you can see now, I've changed this to Georgia. Now, Over here, this is what we have on our global page, but of course, this could be any page on the website. So notice what happens when I come over here and I say make styles default, okay? And I say yes. Now, this font is going to be applied to all paragraph text on my entire website. And to prove that, I'm just going to refresh this page here. And boom, you can see now we have a different font. So you need now to go through your whole entire website and do this across your website. So here for the headings, you can see we have different headings. I have this type here, and then over here we have this one. So I can actually come into this one here, highlight it, set it to, let's say, heading 1. And then I'm going to make some drastic changes to it as well. So I'm going to click here on heading text. And then I'm going to change this to Georgia as well. And I'm going to change this from regular to bold. And the color, I'm going to change this to that. And now I'm going to click here, make styles default, say yes. Okay, great. Now, when I come over here and I refresh my page, notice that my heading text has changed. And I also need to go in and customize heading 2 and so on. So even the blurbs, you need to come over here, change all your blurbs. So if this was your entire website, you would need to go into your website and make all these changes. Okay, so once you change all these items here, this will update your entire website as you've seen with this paragraph text. Now, I hope I've explained this clearly. If not, please add your questions here in the comments box so I can address them. I would really want to make sure that you are not confused by what is happening here. Brenda says, will this replay be on the website? Yes, I'm going to add it to the members area. So it's going to be on the members area. All right, so Pauline here says, if you've customized a page, not the default settings, right? And then you want to change it back to the default settings, is there a way to override your customizations? Yes, absolutely. So let's say you've designed your page. Now notice here, let's use this as an example here. So in fact, let's find a new page. I'm going to come over here, click on all pages. Okay, let's view this. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, that's not it. Just trying to find a page which has a good example here. You see, every time I have a blurb, the text here is also changed. And this was previously on something that I worked on before. Okay, let's take a look at this one here. Okay, you can see here, all I have here is text, and my text has also updated. So let's say you want to, you've designed this page already, and you want this design that you're working on to be the default. Again, I'm going to enable the visual builder here. So if you want this to be the default, I'm going to come over here. Let's make some changes to it. Change my font. Change this to Arial. In fact, let's change this to something crazy, you know, so that you can actually see the difference. Okay, let's go with this one here. I know it's a crazy font, but we're just going to go with it for now. Okay. So with that change, I'm going to click here on other settings, make styles as default, and click on yes. So you can see here now that my text now has taken on this. I'm going to save that. And then if I come over here now to this page, there we go. So my text here now has changed. That's my paragraph text. So now, the one thing that you need to be careful about, or not careful about, but the one thing that you need to bear in mind is some of our modules here. In fact, let's go back in here. Right. So when I set this to take the setting, it took the settings of all this. So this paragraph text here had other settings that was done to it. So if I come over here to design around, let's see, where did I make some changes? I'm going to come over here and modified styles. Okay. In fact, it's not that. I'm going to come over here. Let's go to modified styles. Oh, that's strange. Okay. Anyways, here on my font, my sizes and all my settings, you can see here my text alignment was all justified. It needed to be here on the left. But let's say this setting that I've just done, I'm not happy with it. And I'm going to open a brand new page. So let's go to, let's say, color theory. I'm going to open this in a new tab. And you can see here, my paragraph text has changed throughout my settings here. So now I can actually add a new section. Let's have a look. Right, I'm going to add a new section or even a new column. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to come over here, click this plus button and add my text module. So let's say now as I'm designing this, I want to change this completely, right? So I can just come over here, to click on design text, and I'm going to change this to, let's say, Georgia. Change my color to that. And then I want that to be applied now as my default. Click on save. So everywhere where there is my text here, for example, now you can see that it's changed. So all you have to do now is to go throughout your whole website, find where you want to make your changes to, apply the change and apply it as a global item, and that will be applied to all your settings throughout your whole page. So as you can see here, this has been updated. Now, as you go through your website, you're going to notice that there are items that are not changed. So those, those items needed to be added onto your style sheet first for them to be affected. Like for example, here we have this video, it doesn't have the rounded corners. So what you need to do is to add all your elements here on the style guide. Once you add all your elements there, that means every time you add them onto your website, they are going to be translated throughout the whole website. I see there's a notice here that says lost video stream. Is that the case? Can everyone see me? Okay. Okay, so for some of you, you can't see me. That's strange. Can you try and refresh your pages, please? If you can't see me, please try and refresh your pages. Right, if you can't see me, please refresh your pages and let me know if you can see me, because some of you can see me and hear me as well. Okay, the video is back. Okay, fantastic. Right, so as I was explaining, now this global defaults feature, you need to make sure that you make your style guide complete with all the elements that you're going to use throughout the whole website. So if there's a video, if you're going to add videos, you need to have your video module all styled with the button colors and everything, all with your branding colors, your paragraph text, your buttons, your blurbs, your images, your call to actions, you know, all that stuff. It needs to be added first. and then set those as global items. So once you set it as a global item, that will translate throughout your whole website. And every time you add a brand new item, it's going to change to that. Now, for those cases where you already have a website, you would need now to go into each and every item and make that change, as you saw me do on the paragraph. So if I go to a paragraph on my existing website and I want to make it a global item, I can just go in, right click, and then set it as a global item. So that means every instance of a paragraph throughout the whole website will have that color that you've set and the size and the font as well. But sometimes, and this is what I find confusing, when you set a paragraph text, you would automatically assume that maybe that paragraph text should also apply to the blurb paragraph. Absolutely not. So the blurb needs to be designed on its own. The call to action paragraph text needs to be designed on its own. So all that just needs to be as its own item for this to be applied. Now, when it comes to pre-made layouts, the same thing. If you add your style guide, it may not apply the styles to the actual pre-made items because they have already been set. The settings have already been set. They're not like the default settings. These are new settings that have been set. So you would need to go in and reset those to make sure that everything is all looking uniform. I hope that's clear. I hope that's clear. Any questions? Claude says, might be off topic, but I have a question about image size with parallax effect, size and proportion. Normally for my hero images, I just use 1920 by 1080 for my sizes. That's pretty much what I use. And that normally scales anyways when you use it for maybe other, other areas. So that's what I normally use. Let's have a look here. All right, let's see. Slightly off topic, but do you know why all elements are in pixels? I'm not sure about this question here. Do you? The answer to that, Russell, is I don't know why all the settings are in pixels. To be honest, I just apply, whatever elements, if it's EM or VH, whatever it is, I only apply that when, depending on, what I'm designing. But I'm not sure why it's set to pixels that way. Andrew says, regarding images, isn't it better to resize images for their specific purpose? For example, smaller images for mobile, text, and tablet. Absolutely. Now, if you do it that way, it will make your website really fast. So there's a new feature coming out. It's called responsive design soon on Divi. In fact, I'm not sure why there was a delay. That should be coming out for sure, maybe next week. So this feature, how it works is if you add an image, let's say for your normal desktop design, you can, let's say, have 1920 by 1080, covers the whole screen. And let's say you go into the mobile design, or let's say tablet design, you can actually have a specific image size or even a different image altogether for the actual tablet size. And for the mobile size, you can also have a specific size for the mobile size as well. So it's really, really cool. And this, I think, is where you'd apply this this scenario, because at the moment, there's no way of adding different sizes for different image for different screen sizes, if that makes sense. Okay. Pauline says, if I add 3 text sections in green, in global settings. Okay. And afterwards, I customize one with blue with font changes. If I want to change that customized text sections back to the global defaults, i.e. green, is there and apply global? Yes, absolutely. I think I showed you. In fact, I could show you again how to do that. You click on the three little dots on that module item, and then all the way down there's an option which says set this to global item. So if you click on that, then that setting is then that setting then changes everything to that, makes that global. Andrew says, so that will be the same as you can do with Elementor at the moment. Yes, I think so. Yes, absolutely. Andreas says, this is a good advice to build a default style guide at first. Great to have your support here. Thank you very much. I appreciate your comment. Okay, right. So I think pretty much I've covered how these global styles would work. And this is the best way. First of all, it's fast. Okay. Imagine trying to go to every single page on your website, changing the paragraph text and doing all of that. It will take you a very long time. So knowing that there's an option where you can just go in and make your settings global, it'll just apply to the whole website. And this applies to all your headings, your paragraph text, buttons, blurbs, images, call to actions. And the cool thing is you can actually go in and add animations. So if you want to have all animations by default, you can have these animations in the actual style guide. You see what I mean? So it's very, very powerful. What I've just shown you today is just the tip of the iceberg. It's just to give you some inspiration on how you can actually play around with these options to make better designs. And Pauline says, this has been absolutely amazing tutorial. Hugely appreciate your time. Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad you've learned a lot from this tutorial, and I hope you take these tips and apply them to your current designs or your future designs. And this is one of the reasons why I really like using Divi, because these features really speed up all your workflows, and it's only going to get better. I mean, I can't wait for the theme builder as well. And if you're a member, if you're a VIP member on funnelstoincome.com, you are going to get all the templates that I'll be designing, in the future. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that I'm working on to make the membership really, really cool. And to be honest, once the theme builder is set, all the themes that I'll be creating will be accessible for members only. And I will also be increasing the price, because once I add all these extra courses and all these themes and templates and all of that good stuff, the membership price is going to be going up. So if you lock it down right now, it's going to be a great saving, because I am going to, increase the price, because this is going to be a one-stop website where you're going to get all your tutorials, tips, layouts, and also live Q&As as we're doing today, and also live workshops. Viral says, is there a way to create multiple style guides? No. You'd have to have one style guide per website, because of course there's going to be a lot of confusion. I don't think there's a need to have multiple style guides, because that will just confuse the whole system. One style guide for your website, it works well. And even outside in graphic design, in the way style guides are used, it's one style guide per brand, right? And I'm sure all you other guys out there who are designers can correct me if I'm wrong. It's one style guide per brand, and that's pretty much it. You don't have multiple style guides, for a particular brand. Okay. Okay, Agante just confirmed one style guide for one brand. Yes. So just take your time to work on the style guide for your website, change everything that you need to change, and then start building your website. Now, this is a brand new workflow, and this is why for Divi Blueprint 4. This is going to be the updated Divi course. It's going to have a total different way of designing websites using Divi. And this is why this course is going to be even 2 times more expensive than the Divi Blueprint 3, because I'm going to add quite a lot of things in there, even things like these style guides. I'm also going to add things like building an e-commerce website on an existing website, building templates, and also using external plugins to make your website look awesome. So it's going to be really, really amazing. So I can't wait. I can't wait to get started with that. Oh yes, thank you for your comments. Awesome, appreciate it. Right, so for those of you that joined us midway in this tutorial or in this workshop, I will download it and add it to the members area so you can watch the replays. In fact, I need to add the other 2 replays that I did the previous 2 weeks onto the members area, so you can go ahead and watch this. Okay, so that's all, guys. Thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Next week, we're going to have another topic. I'm not sure what it's going to be. It's going to depend on the update that's going to come out next week. If not, there's a lot that we can talk about in terms of how to use Divi to design awesome looking websites. So anyway, I'll give you enough time to let you know what topic we'll be discussing or what the workshop will be about. So just keep an eye on your emails, or if you have any notifications on Funnels to Income, you will get a notification of the live workshop. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate your time. See you next week. Take care.